They ordered her to remove the uniform, not quietly, not privately, but in front of everyone. The morning sun burned across the concrete parade ground as the base came alive with boots striking in rhythm. Orders echoed, flags snapped in the wind. It was just another day on the base, until it wasn't. She stood perfectly still in formation, jaw tight, eyes forward. Second Lieutenant Mara Voss had learned long ago that showing emotion was a luxury soldiers couldn't afford, especially soldiers who didn't quite fit the image others expected. The order came sharp and humiliating. "Lieutenant, step out of formation." Every head turned. Mara obeyed, boots landing hard against the ground as she stepped forward. She could feel the weight of dozens of stares pressing into her back. The senior officer pacing in front of her didn't lower his voice. "That uniform doesn't belong on you. Remove it." A ripple of shock moved through the ranks. This wasn't about regulations, it wasn't about protocol, it was about control. Mara's hands clenched at her sides. The uniform wasn't just fabric, it was years of training, sleepless nights, earned scars, and fallen comrades. She had bled for it, she had proven herself for it. But orders were orders. Slowly, deliberately, she unfastened the top of her jacket. The air felt colder as the fabric loosened. Whispers began to spread like fire through dry grass. Some soldiers looked away, others watched in disbelief. As the jacket slid from her shoulders, something unexpected appeared. A tattoo. Dark ink stretched across her upper back, partially hidden at first. Lines sharp, deliberate, unmistakably military. It wasn't decorative, it was symbolic. Ancient insignia intertwined with coordinates, dates, and a unit crest long believed to be classified and lost. The officer froze mid-stride. Across the field, at the edge of the parade ground, a black staff car had just come to a stop. The base commander stepped out. He was a man who didn't rush, didn't raise his voice, and didn't miss details. His eyes scanned the formation out of habit until they locked onto Mara's exposed back. He stopped walking. The color drained from his face, because he recognized that tattoo, and he knew exactly what it meant. The parade ground fell silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. What began as a public punishment had just become something far more dangerous for the people who gave the order. And Mara Voss, standing there with her uniform half removed, had no idea that her past had just caught up with her and was about to change everything on that base forever. To be continued.
The base commander didn't shout. He didn't run. But every officer on the parade ground felt the shift the moment he stopped walking. His eyes stayed locked on the tattoo carved across Mara Voss's back. The insignia wasn't something taught in academies or printed in manuals. It belonged to a unit that officially did not exist, a unit erased from records after a mission that went catastrophically wrong. At least, that was the story. "Lieutenant," the commander said calmly, his voice carrying across the field, "hold your position." The senior officer who had given the order stiffened. "Sir, this matter is being handled." The commander raised one hand. That single gesture ended the conversation. "Is it?" he asked, stepping closer. Mara stood frozen, pulse pounding in her ears. She hadn't planned for this. The tattoo was never meant to be seen, especially not here. It wasn't rebellion, it was remembrance. The commander circled her slowly, studying every line of ink. Coordinates, a date, a unit crest crossed by a black bar. To most, it looked like military art. To him, it was a grave marker. "Where did you get this?" he asked. Mara swallowed. "With permission, sir. I earned it." A murmur rippled through the formation. The senior officer scoffed. "Sir, tattoos are not proof of service. This could be—" "Silence!" The commander snapped, his tone suddenly steel-hard. He turned back to Mara. "Lieutenant Voss, resecure your uniform." She obeyed, hands steady now as she pulled the jacket back on. The weight of shame lifted, replaced by something heavier, recognition. "You don't belong here," the commander said, not unkindly. Mara looked straight ahead. "No, sir, I never did." The commander faced the formation, dismissed. Boots moved, soldiers broke ranks, but no one spoke. Every single one of them knew they had just witnessed something they were never meant to see. As Mara walked away from the parade ground, the commander followed a step behind. "Lieutenant," he said quietly, "we need to talk, because if you're here, that means the mission was never over." And somewhere, deep beneath the base, a secret long buried had just been exposed.
The doors sealed shut behind them with a heavy metallic thud. Deep inside the command wing, far below the parade ground, the base commander stood in silence for a long moment, studying the wall as if it might speak first. The room they were in didn't exist on any map. No windows, no insignia, just old screens, locked cabinets, and a single table between them. Mara Voss stood at attention, but her shoulders were tight now. Not from fear, this was something else. "You should have never been assigned to this base," the commander finally said, "especially not under my authority." "With respect, sir," Mara replied, "I didn't choose it." He turned to her, eyes sharp. "Then someone wanted you seen." He reached into a secured drawer and pulled out a faded file folder. No name, just a symbol identical to the one on her back. He placed it on the table. Operation Black Meridian, the mission that officially never happened. Mara's expression darkened. 37 operators, hand-picked, disappeared overnight. The world was told it was a training failure. Families were given folded flags and silence. But the truth was worse. "They sent us in to retrieve something," Mara said quietly. "Not a weapon, not intel, a person." The commander nodded. "A scientist." "Or so we were told," Mara replied. "By the time we reached the site, the compound was already burning. Someone had beaten us there." Her voice stayed steady, but the memories didn't. The night had been chaos, alarms screaming, tracer fire ripping through the dark, teammates dropping one by one without ever seeing the enemy. Their communications had been jammed. Extraction never came. "We were sacrificed," Mara said, "written off to keep something buried." The commander clenched his fists. Rourke figured it out too late. "Yes, sir," Mara said. "He ordered us to split, one team to draw fire, one to escape with the asset." Her eyes lowered. "I was on the second team." The commander closed his eyes briefly. He already knew what that meant. "They branded us traitors when we came back," Mara continued. "Offered us a choice, disappear forever or come back later wearing a different uniform with no history." The commander opened the file. Inside were surveillance images, recent ones, grainy, time-stamped, a facility, guards, the same coordinates etched into Mara's skin. "The asset is alive," he said, "and someone inside our command structure has been protecting them." Mara looked up sharply. "That's why I was activated again." "Yes, and why someone panicked when they saw you in uniform. The parade ground incident wasn't about discipline. It was an attempt to expose her or break her before she could remember who she was. You weren't supposed to survive long enough to be recognized," the commander said quietly. Mara's jaw tightened. "Then they made a mistake." An alarm chirped softly on one of the screens. A red indicator blinked to life. Unauthorized access. The commander straightened. "They know we're talking." Mara took one step forward. "Then we're out of time, sir." He looked at her, not as a superior now, but as a soldier to another. "If this goes public, the base will burn." She nodded once. "Then let it burn." Somewhere above them, orders were being rewritten, cameras were being redirected, files were being erased. But it was already too late, because the final piece of Black Meridian was no longer hiding. She was standing right in front of him. The hum of electronics and distant footsteps echoed through the hidden command wing. Mara Voss stood shoulder to shoulder with the base commander, her uniform crisp,
her resolve sharper than any blade she'd ever held. Above ground, the base had returned to its routine, but beneath, a storm was gathering. Someone inside had tried to erase her existence, but they had underestimated what a soldier like Mara carried with her: memory, skill, and the determination to finish what had been started years ago. "Sir," Mara said, her voice calm but unwavering, "we know they're coming. They won't let this go quietly." The base commander nodded, eyes fixed on the monitors. "It's not just them. If word of Black Meridian leaks, we're talking about a chain reaction that could compromise every operation, every asset." A door banged open behind them. Shadows moved. The air thickened with tension. Mara's hand brushed the sidearm at her hip, every muscle tensed, every instinct ready. The first figure emerged, sharp uniform, badge glinting under the harsh lights, a face Mara recognized instantly. The officer who had humiliated her on the parade ground. "You," Mara said, voice low, "you almost cost everything." He smirked, a thin line of arrogance masking panic. "I was following orders. You don't belong here." Mara's eyes narrowed. "I've already proven that wrong." Before he could react, Mara's movements were precise and fluid. Within seconds, she disarmed him, pressing him against the wall. The others behind him hesitated, unsure if they were walking into a firefight or witnessing something else entirely. The base commander stepped forward. "Enough. We don't execute here. We extract information." Mara released the officer, stepping back. "Then make sure it counts." A tense interrogation followed. Secrets spilled, hidden files, cover-ups, the real purpose of the mission Mara had survived years ago. Every lie unraveled, every deceit exposed. Finally, Mara turned to the commander. "Sir, the asset, it's still alive, and if we move fast, we can bring them back safely." He studied her. "Do you trust anyone here to see this through?" Mara's eyes swept the room. Officers who doubted her, soldiers who whispered behind her back. None were ready, but she didn't need them. She had the skill, the knowledge, and the clarity that came only from surviving what most never could. "I trust myself," she said. The commander nodded. "Then go, finish it." As Mara strode up the hidden stairwell toward the extraction point, the sun broke over the horizon. The base still seemed calm, oblivious to the storm that had been brewing below. She moved with purpose. Every step was measured, every breath controlled. She wasn't just a survivor, she was a reckoning. And when she reached the perimeter where the asset was being held, Mara didn't hesitate. Years of secrecy, betrayal, and lost comrades fueled her. In that moment, nothing could stop her. The doors opened. The light hit her uniform. The tattoo on her back gleamed in the sun, no longer hidden, no longer a secret. It was a symbol of survival, of truth, of power reclaimed. The mission that had been buried for years was finally coming to an end. And Mara Voss, once written off, once ordered to step aside, was the only one who could see it through. The base would never be the same.